In great relationships, value is a non-negotiable. It's not here one day and then gone the next. It's not up one week and then down the next. Value is a constant. Value is a bedrock that you can always count on in great relationships. And warmth is your most important tool for being able to consistently express to other people that you value them. And yet, there is one really bad habit that we can get into that prevents us from showing warmth to other people because it actually prevents us from valuing them. And the result is relationships that could be amazing, never get off the ground, and relationships can be stifled and stunted when all it takes for them to bloom is a little bit more warmth given out consistently. Hi everybody, I'm Greg from Heart Tools, where we make it simple to build great relationships. And in the last video, the practice exercise that I gave you was to give a warm greeting to everyone you interacted with, family members, friends, coworkers, the bank teller, the grocery store clerk, the person at the drive-thru, your server at the restaurant, whoever you interact with, to give them a warm greeting to let them know that you value them. And the other part of the exercise was to pay attention to how hard or how easy that was for you to express warmth in different situations. And here's my guess. My guess is that in the situations where it was difficult for you to express warmth, then one of two things was happening. And by the way, there's a third category that we're not going to talk about today. There are situations where it's just really, really hard to express warmth because of the unique situation. And we're going to talk about those in the next video and what you do about that. But those are very rare. So by and large, one of two things was happening. The first thing that might have been happening is that your nonverbals were not matching your heart. In other words, what was going on the outside wasn't matching what was going on the inside. And so you really did value the person, but you're just not in the habit of expressing warmth. And if that's the case, then that's just a matter of intentionally practicing warmth. So you're not hiding from other people the fact that you value them. They don't have to figure that out. You're protecting their value. So if you look back and you think, man, sometimes I went like 6 hours and I just forgot to express warmth to anybody. That just means you're out of practice. So practice, practice, practice. That's the only way that we improve in these relationship skills. But there's a second category of things that might have been happening. What might have been happening is your nonverbals matched exactly what was going on in your heart. And the reality is, you think back on those situations, you realize there's some reason why I really didn't value those people at all. And if that's the case, it probably points to a really bad habit that's very easy for us to develop. But once we develop it, it makes it difficult to consistently value people and consistently treat them with warmth. And here is the really bad habit that we get into, is we tend to judge or evaluate people first and then value them based on the results of our judgment or evaluation. We size people up the moment we see them, and we have all sorts of ways of sizing people up, and your way of sizing people up is different from anybody else's, but we have ways that we can tend to evaluate people and judge them like that. It may be how they dress, it may be the job that they're doing, it may be their financial status, it may be their educational level, it may be their worldview, right, and what they think about God and politics and all sorts of different things. So it may be something in their belief system. And so we tend to have this grid that we use to evaluate and judge people. And then if they meet our criteria, then we value them. I want to invite you to practice a new habit. And the new habit is simply to value people on the spot. Value them no matter what. And whatever criteria or grid that you have that you use to evaluate people, just set aside. I want you to picture for just a moment that you are a world-class art expert. And you're rummaging around through someone's attic and you see what you know is a lost masterpiece. This is a lost Rembrandt. And you are absolutely certain that this is the work of the master. And yet this painting is in a really ugly frame. It has a rip in it. The colors have faded as it's been stored in the attic. The painting's got a little dirty. So here's the question. What do you look at first, right? So if you're the kind of person who evaluates based on brightness of color, you evaluate based on the frame, or you evaluate based on whether there's a rip or no rip, you're going to miss seeing the value that's inherent in that painting and the fact that it is a lost masterpiece. And when do you start, if you're a world-class art expert, when do you start treating that painting as though it's valuable? Do you wait for it to get a new beautiful frame? Do you wait for the colors to be restored or the dirt to be removed? Do you wait for the tears to be repaired and then treat it as it's valuable? Or do you treat it as valuable on the spot? Well, obviously, if you're an art expert and you come across a lost masterpiece, you treat it as valuable on the spot, no matter what's happening with all of these peripheral issues, right? And that's what happens when we tend to judge people first and then value them based on our judgment, is we miss the masterpiece. Every person that you encounter is created in the image of God and has inestimable value. And so if you look for the frame first, or the rips first, or the dirt first, or the brightness first, you're going to miss the masterpiece. Every person that you come across is one of God's lost masterpieces. And when you have that view of life, then even if I'm just going through the drive-through, if my criteria of judging is whether someone's useful to me and what kind of job they have and what their income level, I'm going to miss the masterpiece. But if I recognize this is one of God's lost masterpieces, my warmth is going to be different, right? And think about this. Think about this may be the only time that you get to express value to that lost masterpiece. This is your chance. Don't miss it. Think about this as well. You may be the only one in that whole day of that person that sees their true value and expresses it to them, right? And this is why I believe that expressing warmth consistently is a foundational spiritual discipline. Expressing warmth to everyone you meet, expressing that you see them as a masterpiece, no matter what, it's a way of aligning your heart with God's heart and how He views that person. And by the way, let me say real quickly, we can have great relationships with people who are completely different from us. I think one of the big lies in our culture right now is if someone's different than you, you have to demonize them and hate them. You can actually have great relationships with people who are completely different from you, as long as they know how to respect and value, right? As long as they protect your power and protect your value, you can have great relationships. So if you're listening to this and you don't believe in God, that's okay. This is just a chance for you to practice understanding someone who's completely different from you as a relationship building skill. So here's what I would like to encourage you to practice. Practice continuing to give a warm greeting to every single person you interact with, whether it's a family member, a friend, someone at work, the person at the drive-through, your bank teller, whoever it is. Practice giving them a warm greeting and pay attention to when it's hard for you to give a warm greeting. Pay attention to when you're lapsing and not giving warm greetings, and ask yourself this question: is there something that I'm doing to judge that person? Is there a way that I'm evaluating them that in my mind makes it okay to say they're really not that important? They really don't have that much value. and root those things out and use this practice of giving a warm greeting and expressing value to everyone you meet as a spiritual discipline to align your heart more directly with the heart of God and how He views people. This is a simple step that you can practice all day long, every day. Simple steps, practice, practice, practice. That's what Heart Tools is all about.